First contact. The celestial Voyager drifted silently through the void, its crystalline sensors probing the darkness of unexplored space. Captain Zara Valen stood at her command station, her iridescent scales reflecting the soft blue glow of the bridge displays. After 3 cycles of exploration in this sector, they had found nothing but empty systems and dead worlds. "Captain, anomalous readings detected in Sector 7, announced First Observer Kex, his secondary eyes focusing intently on his display while his primary set remained fixed on the starfield ahead. Zira moved gracefully to his station, her ceremonial robes floating in the ship's low gravity. Analysis. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database, Captain. Massive power outputs, but the pattern is ordered, artificial. Kex's voice trembled with excitement. Multiple sources, moving in formation. Show me. The main view screen shifted, displaying a thermal map of nearby space. Dozens of heat signatures moved with precise coordination, their energy outputs dwarfing anything the celestial Voyager could produce. At their center, a single massive signature blazed like a small star. "By the first light," whispered Zira. In her 3 centuries of exploration, she had never seen such power. "Distance. 2 light minutes in closing," replied Kex. "They appear to be on an intersecting course." "Impossible. They couldn't know we're here. We're running silent." Zira's protective membranes flickered across her eyes. "Unless, Captain, their sensors, they're active scanning us." Lieutenant Mira called out from the defense station, her tendrils writhing with anxiety. "Our stealth systems can't compensate. They've already mapped our entire hull structure." Zira felt a chill run through her body. The celestial Voyager represented the pinnacle of Confederation stealth technology. Nothing should have been able to detect them at this range, let alone scan through their defenses. "Open channels, all frequencies," Zira ordered. "If they can see us, we might as well introduce ourselves." Before her communications officer could comply, every display on the bridge lit up with an incoming transmission. The unknown vessels had beaten them to it. A figure appeared on the main screen, and Zira had to stop herself from stepping back. The alien was bipedal, with dark skin and no scales or protective membranes. It wore a crisp uniform adorned with mysterious symbols. "Greetings, Celestial Voyager. I am Admiral Chen of the United Earth Space Force. You've entered human-controlled space. While we welcome peaceful contact, I must ask your intentions in this sector." The universal translator took a moment to process the words, but Zira was more focused on what she saw in the background. The bridge behind the human admiral was massive, with dozens of crew members working at stations that seemed to blend seamlessly with their operators. The level of technology on display was staggering. "I am Captain Zira Valen of the Confederation exploration vessel Celestial Voyager. We are peaceful explorers, cataloging this sector of space. We had no knowledge this region was claimed." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "Your vessels. They are impressive." Admiral Chen's expression remained neutral, but Zira thought she detected something like pride in those alien eyes. "Thank you, Captain. The UES Hyperion and her battle group represent humanity's commitment to space exploration and defense. Perhaps you'd like to come aboard. We could discuss your mission in person." Zira exchanged glances with her senior staff. The invitation was both an opportunity and a test. These humans had already demonstrated technological superiority. Their sensors had cut through Confederation stealth systems like they weren't even there. If they meant harm, declining wouldn't help. "We would be honored, Admiral. Though I must ask, how did you detect us? Our stealth systems are among the most advanced in known space." For the first time, Admiral Chen smiled. "Let's just say humanity has learned to be very thorough in watching our borders, Captain. Recent history has taught us the value of vigilance. We'll transmit docking coordinates to your helm. Welcome to human space." As the transmission ended, Zira turned to her crew. "Thoughts?" "Their ships are warships, Captain," said Lieutenant Mira. The energy readings, the formation, the sensor capabilities, they're built for combat. But why would they need such power out here in the void? Perhaps we should ask them, replied Zira, watching as the massive human vessels drew closer. The central ship, the Hyperion, was unlike anything in Confederation records. Its hull was angular and aggressive, covered in weapon emplacements and launch bays. Yet it moved with impossible grace for its size, its engines barely registering on their sensors despite its obvious mass. Helm, take us in, standard approach. And everyone. Zira looked at each of her crew members in turn. Remember that we're not just representing ourselves here. We're representing the entire Confederation. Let's show these humans that we can be worthy partners in space exploration. As the celestial Voyager began its approach to the human battle group, Zira couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change the course of galactic history. She just hoped it would be for the better. The humans had built a fleet that could likely challenge the entire Confederation Navy. The question was, what had driven them to create such powerful weapons of war? And more importantly, what would they do with that power? She would soon find out. Beneath the surface, the docking bay of the UES Hyperion swallowed the celestial Voyager whole. Captain Zira watched through the viewport as her ship, once considered large by Confederation standards, settled into a berth that could have held 3 vessels its size. The scale of everything human-made continued to astound her. Atmosphere readings are compatible, reported Lieutenant Mira. They matched our environmental requirements perfectly. Remarkable, muttered Kex. They analyzed our biology and adjusted their systems in minutes. The diplomatic party assembled near the airlock. Zira, her science officer Kex, security chief Mira, and their xenobiologist Dr. Tala. As the airlock cycled, Zira noticed her crew's nervous movements. Extra blinks, twitching tendrils, scales shifting colors unconsciously. The door opened to reveal Admiral Chen and a small group of human officers. Up close, the humans were even more striking. Tall, confident beings with expressions Zira found difficult to read. They wore their powerful technology casually, small devices attached to their uniforms that hummed with energy. Captain Valen. Admiral Chen stepped forward, making a gesture that mimicked the Confederation greeting. Welcome aboard the Hyperion. Admiral. Zira returned the greeting. Your ship is extraordinary. Thank you. Please, follow me. There's much to discuss. As they walked through the massive corridors of the Hyperion, Zira and her crew tried to process everything they saw. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing ship systems and space around them. Crew members moved with purpose, some wearing powered exoskeletons that enhanced their capabilities. Robots rolled past on unknown errands. Your technology level is remarkable. Kex couldn't contain himself. The energy efficiency alone. We've had to advance quickly, Admiral Chen replied, leading them into a large conference room with a view of space. Necessity is a powerful motivator. Once seated, Zira noticed something odd about the room. Despite its size and luxury, it was designed for defense. Hidden shield generators, multiple exits, and what she suspected were weapons behind the walls. These humans built everything with security in mind. You're wondering about our military capabilities, Admiral Chen said, reading her expression. Why we need such powerful ships so far from Earth. The thought had crossed my mind, Zira admitted. The Confederation has explored much of this galaxy, but we've never encountered ships like yours. Admiral Chen's expression grew serious. Captain, humanity's journey to the stars was complicated. 20 years ago, we learned we weren't alone in the universe in the hardest possible way. A hologram appeared in the center of the table, showing a devastated city. Massive creatures rampaged through the streets while ships battled overhead. The swarm, Chen continued. They came without warning. No attempts at communication, no demands. Just hunger and destruction. We were nearly wiped out in the first wave. Zira's scales paled. How did you survive? We did what humans do best. We adapted, united, fought back. Chen's voice carried pride and pain in equal measure. Every ship you see here, every weapon and defense system, was born from that crucible. We turned our entire civilization toward survival and emerged stronger. The swarm is defeated, Dr. Tala asked. Contained, Chen corrected. But they're not the only threat out there. We've encountered others since then, some peaceful, some not. Each encounter taught us more about surviving in a universe that's not always friendly. Zyra thought about the Confederation's peaceful expansion through space. They had faced challenges, yes, but nothing like what these humans described. It explained so much about their ships, their technology, their constant readiness. And now, she asked, what are your intentions toward the Confederation? Admiral Chen smiled warmly. Peace, alliance, if possible. Humanity has learned the hard way that we're stronger together. Your civilization's achievements in peaceful exploration could complement our defensive capabilities. There's much we could learn from each other. Before Zyra could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A junior officer burst into the room. Admiral, long-range sensors have detected unusual activity at the edge of the system. The energy signature, it matches swarm patterns. Chen was on his feet instantly, all trace of diplomatic pleasantry gone. Battle stations. Captain Valen, I apologize, but it seems you're about to see exactly why we built these ships. Zyra felt her heart's race as she followed Chen to the bridge. The peaceful exploration mission had just become something else entirely. They were about to witness humanity's warriors in action, and she suspected it would be unlike anything the Confederation had ever seen. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of timing. Hidden threats. The bridge of the UES Hyperion erupted into controlled chaos. Officers moved with practiced precision, while holographic displays filled the air with tactical data. Captain Zyra and her team stood back, watching the humans transform from diplomats to warriors in seconds. Multiple contacts, bearing 037, called out the sensor officer. Energy signatures consistent with swarm bioships. Count is 17 vessels, including one Queen class. Admiral Chen's face hardened. Battle group, assume formation Delta. Power up all defensive systems. Launch fighter squadrons. Zyra watched in amazement as the massive human fleet moved like a single organism. Smaller ships took up protective positions around the Hyperion, while fighters streamed from launch bays like angry insects. The swarm, Kex whispered, his scientific curiosity overwhelming his fear. They're ships. They're organic. Living weapons, Chen explained, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. They consume everything in their path to create more of themselves. Each Queen class can birth an entire invasion fleet if given enough time and resources. The sensor display showed the approaching swarm ships, twisted, organic shapes that defied conventional design. They moved erratically, but with purpose, like hungry predators stalking prey. Admiral. Zyra stepped forward. The celestial voyager stands ready to assist. Chen turned to her, concern evident in his expression. Captain, I appreciate the offer, but your ship isn't built for this kind of combat. The best thing you can do is stay docked and let us handle this. As if to emphasize his point, the tactical display showed the swarm ships accelerating, their organic forms writhing as they prepared for battle. The human fleet's response was immediate and overwhelming. All ships, weapons free, Chen commanded. Execute Containment Protocol Sigma-7. The space around the Hyperion lit up as human weapons systems activated. Energy beams sliced through the void while railguns launched projectiles at relativistic speeds. Fighter squadrons moved in complex patterns, herding the swarm ships into predetermined killing zones. Zyra and her crew watched in awe as the battle unfolded. The humans fought with a precision and coordination that seemed impossible for their level of technology. Every shot, every maneuver was calculated to maximum effect. They're trying to break through Sector 4, called out the tactical officer. Not today. Chen growled. Hyperion, main guns target the Queen. Battle group, close the net. The massive ship shuddered as its primary weapons charged. Zara felt the energy build up in her scales. Whatever the humans were about to unleash, it was beyond anything the Confederation had ever developed. The Hyperion's main cannon fired, a beam of concentrated energy that turned space itself into a weapon. The Queen-class swarm ship tried to dodge, its organic form twisting impossibly, but the beam caught it square in the center mass. The massive creature's death scream echoed through space on all frequencies. Without their queen, the remaining swarm ships fell into disarray. The human fleet methodically destroyed them, leaving nothing but organic debris floating in space. All targets neutralized, reported the tactical officer. No casualties. Minor damage to the U.S. Defiance port shield. Chen finally relaxed slightly. Well, Captain Valen, now you've seen what we're up against. The swarm never stops hunting, never stops growing. That's why we built these ships, why we're always ready. Zyra looked at the tactical display, still showing the aftermath of battle. The humans had faced down a force that would have devastated a Confederation battle group, and they'd done it without losing a single ship. Admiral, she said slowly, I believe the Confederation's council needs to know about this threat, and about humanity's capabilities. We've explored peaceful space for centuries, but perhaps we need to learn how to defend it as well. Chen nodded. The universe is larger and more dangerous than any of us imagined, Captain. But together, we might have a better chance of surviving it. As cleanup operations began, Zyra couldn't help but think about how this encounter would change both their civilizations. The Confederation would have to adapt to a more dangerous reality, while humanity might finally find allies who could help them carry their burden. The real question was, would they have time to forge this alliance before the next threat emerged from the depths of space? Looking at the efficiency with which the humans had dealt with the swarm, Zyra felt hopeful. Perhaps this was the beginning of something revolutionary, a combination of Confederation wisdom and human strength that could reshape the galaxy. But first, they had to survive what was coming next. Trial by fire. 7 standard days after the swarm encounter, the UES Hyperion and Celestial Voyager moved through space in tandem. The Confederation Council had responded to Zura's report with unprecedented speed, recognizing the gravity of both the swarm threat and the potential of a human alliance. Multiple quantum distortions detected. Lieutenant Mira's voice crackled through the combined fleet's communication network. Pattern unknown. Not swarm signatures. Admiral Chen and Captain Zira, now operating from a joint command center on the Hyperion, watched as new contacts emerged from quantum space. The vessels were geometric, perfect black cubes that absorbed all light. By the stars, Kex breathed, analyzing the readings. Those ships, they're pulling energy directly from subspace. The power readings are off our scales. Confederation database has no record of this species, Zyra reported, her scales shifting to warning colors. Chen's expression darkened. Neither do we. First contact protocols. Before either commander could act, the cubic ships moved. Their perfect geometric forms rippled, and beams of dark energy lashed out, cutting through space itself. The human battle group scattered, their training turning potential chaos into coordinated evasion. They're not targeting our ships, the tactical officer announced. They're creating something. The dark energy beams intersected, forming a massive geometric pattern in space. Reality itself seemed to tear open, revealing a swirling vortex of impossible colors. It's a gateway, Kex shouted. They're trying to open a stable path between dimensions. Chen's response was immediate. All ships, battle formations. Whatever's coming through that gate, we stop it here. Captain Valen, get your ship to safe distance. No. Zyra's response surprised even her own crew. The Confederation runs no longer. We stand with humanity. The gateway pulsed, and something began to emerge. It defied description. a mass of tentacles and geometric shapes that hurt the mind to look at. Behind it came others, an armada of impossibility pouring into normal space. Multiple interdimensional entities detected, the science officer reported, her voice steady despite the horror unfolding before them. They're generating quantum field disruptions that could tear this sector apart. Not on our watch, Chen growled. Battle Group, execute Pattern Omega. Captain Valen, your ship's sensors might be our edge here. Can you identify any weaknesses? Zyra was already moving. The Celestial Voyager's advanced sensor suite, designed for deep space exploration, began mapping the interdimensional invaders in detail. Energy patterns suggest a crystalline structure at their core, Kex reported. If we could destabilize it. Uploading targeting data to the fleet, Mira added, her military training overriding her usual caution. What followed was a dance of death and light. Human warships moved with brutal efficiency, their weapons guided by Confederation sensor data. The Celestial Voyager's scientific instruments, never designed for combat, became the fleet's eyes, identifying critical targets with unprecedented precision. The cube ships responded with weapons that bent space itself, but the human vessel's shields, enhanced by hastily adapted Confederation frequency modulation, held firm. Fighter squadrons darted between dimensional tiers, their pilots pushing the boundaries of possible maneuvers. Main battery targeted on primary gateway node, Chen announced. Captain Valen, we'll need everything your sensors can give us for this shot. Zyra's crew worked frantically, pushing their exploration vessels' systems to their limits. Transmitting final targeting solutions now. Admiral, make it count. The Hyperion's main guns fired, their energy combined with data from the Celestial Voyager sensors. The beam struck the gateway's focal point with surgical precision. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality screamed. The gateway collapsed in on itself, taking the cube ships with it. The interdimensional entities, cut off from their point of origin, began to dissolve back into their own realm. In moments, space returned to normal, though sensor echoes would persist for days. All hostile contacts neutralized, reported Tactical. Gateway closure confirmed. The bridge was silent for a long moment. Then Chen turned to Zyra, a new respect in his eyes. Captain, I believe we just witnessed the beginning of something remarkable. Zyra looked at her own crew, who had just helped fight off an interdimensional invasion using scientific equipment. Indeed, Admiral. It seems the Confederation had warriors within it all along. We just needed humanity to show us how to use our strength. As recovery operations began, both commanders knew that this battle had done more than save a sector of space. It had proven that humanity's military might and the Confederation's scientific knowledge were a combination that could face any threat the universe threw at them. The galaxy was changing, and together they would be ready for whatever came next. New horizons. 3 months after the interdimensional incident, the UES Hyperion orbited Earth, its massive form casting a shadow on the planet below. Inside, the ship's largest conference room hosted a historic gathering. The first official summit between human and Confederation leadership. Captain Zyra stood beside Admiral Chen as they watched delegates from both civilizations sign the Terran Confederation Defense Pact. Her scales shimmered with pride as she remembered the journey that had brought them here. If someone had told me 3 months ago that we'd be signing a military alliance with a species we hadn't met yet, I wouldn't have believed them, said High Counselor Vex of the Confederation, his ceremonial robes catching the light from Earth below. The universe has a way of bringing people together, UN Secretary General Rodriguez replied, setting down her pen, though usually not quite so dramatically. The alliance went far beyond simple military cooperation. Humans would share their defensive technology and combat experience, while the Confederation would provide their vast scientific knowledge and exploration data. Already, hybrid ships were being designed, combining human military innovation with Confederation sensor and propulsion technology. The first joint patrol fleet launches next week, Chen told Zyra as they watched the diplomats mingle. the UES Harmony, and 3 Confederation vessels, modified with human weapon systems. Never thought I'd see the day. Neither did we, Zyra replied. The Confederation spent centuries believing that peaceful exploration was enough. We never understood that sometimes peace must be protected. The main screen activated, showing a tactical display of known space. Red markers indicated confirmed swarm activity, while blue squares marked the locations of dimensional anomalies similar to the gateway they'd encountered. The threats are growing, Chen observed. The swarm is adapting, and whatever those cube ships were, they'll be back. But now we face them together. And we'll be ready, Zyra said firmly. Human strength and Confederation wisdom. The galaxy won't know what hit it. A junior officer approached them, tablet in hand. Admiral, Captain, long-range sensors have detected unusual activity in the Carina sector. Could be another dimensional breach forming. Chen and Zyra shared a look. 3 months ago, such news would have brought dread. Now, it brought determination. Signal the joint fleet, Chen ordered. Tell them to prep for immediate departure. I'll coordinate with Confederation science vessels in the sector, Zyra added. We'll need their sensor data. As they moved to the bridge, Chen smiled. You know, Captain, when we built these ships, we thought we'd be facing the darkness alone. It's good to know we have friends out there. And you'll always have them, Zyra replied. Humanity taught us that the galaxy needs both explorers and defenders. Together, we can be both. The Hyperion's engines powered up as alerts sounded throughout the ship. Around them, human and Confederation crews worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of a common purpose. All ships report ready, Tactical announced. Joint fleet standing by for coordinates. Chen looked at Zyra. Care to join us for another adventure, Captain? Zyra's scales shifted to the colors of anticipation and resolve. Always, Admiral. The celestial Voyager stands ready. As the combined fleet prepared to jump into quantum space, both commanders knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not just as warriors, but as teachers and allies. The Confederation had discovered its inner strength, learning that exploration sometimes required courage of a different kind. Together, they would face whatever mysteries and dangers the universe held, and they would prevail. All ships, quantum jump in 3, 2, 1. The fleet vanished into quantum space, leaving Earth behind. But they carried with them something new. The promise of a future where no civilization would have to face the darkness alone. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what both humanity and the Confederation were counting on.